As we're driving up the valley, it's just heavy smoke, hard to see through. The winds are really strong. We're seeing debris falling down on our trucks as we're driving, trees falling down on the road.
They had already told us that the fire advisory was high and that it was a red flag, so that's about the first time that I realized that this is not going to be good.
A couple places we couldn't really get back into that we could 15, 20 minutes ago. Now it's completely engulfed in flames, and we're hearing some of these big old growth timber and stuff coming down around us. And
smoke and fire and branches and rocks and trees and everything that comes with the fire and the wind.
Normally in a fire evacuation, we have time to plan ahead. The fire started in the forest and is burning towards the community. In this case, we're dealing with the no time at all. We're also dealing with power's out. The phones were down in the community, and we had to totally change the way we think about things.
And when we get up here, we start notifying local residents, hey, it's a level 3 evacuation, you need to grab your stuff and go. There's a handful of us that are up here at the point, and we just kind of spread out and start taking areas of responsibility.
And a lot of people that live in these rural areas, when the power goes out, they know their cell phone's the only communication tool they have, and they need to make its battery last. So I know a lot of people turned their cell phones off that evening to try to save the battery for the next morning. So we have none of our normal communication tools available to them, and it came down to driving door to door.
Knocking on doors, sirens are on, loud hailing, just get as much noise going on to get people up and make them realize what's going on.
It's just amazing how destructive and how fast this fire moved. I mean, it moved from milepost 41 or 42 all the way down to about 16 overnight, basically. And yet people in town, they were, at level 1, when they went to bed at night, and then they're level 3 at 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning.
Initially, we were playing catch up. We'd do a little bit of an evacuation, realize, we need to go further, and then the wind picks up again and we have more fire that's jumping in front of us.
And so we're basically just stuck. And so we're up here in this area. While we're stuck up here, we get a couple of different calls for service saying, hey, I need help. I'm in the campground. I'm in the RV park. I'm in a couple different places. And so when they're doing that, we're answering up saying, we'll take this. And so a handful of us start going into those different areas. As we start driving into those areas more and more, we start realizing the fire's pushing at us.
When we realized we're starting to get deputies and firefighters surrounded by fire, and there's homes on fire now with people still in the area, we realized that the situation is really dire at that point.
Yeah, I mean, you're trying to think about if, what, then. So if I get stuck behind the fire and I can't get out with my vehicle, then what are my options?
While we're doing that intermittently, we can hear other deputies coming up from town, moving into the Blue River area and doing some evacuations, and you can hear them, hey, we're starting to get overrun by fire. And so what we thought was a bad situation for us quickly turned into a horrible situation for those guys.
And then suddenly everything gets quiet. The radios stop working. Everybody's looking down at their phone because the calls cut out all at once. And because we know the area and know the infrastructure, several of us looked at each other and knew that meant the fire had made it to Mount Hagen. We knew that's where the cell phone towers are. And that was a huge eye-opener of how big the fire was, how quickly, and now we have the communication problem.
So we couldn't talk to each other very well. And at one point, we got cut off from the deputies that were downriver. The fire had merged and basically separated the deputies downriver from the deputies upriver. So we couldn't get down to them, they couldn't get up to us. So several of us were stuck on the high side of the fire. The wind was blowing down to the west, so it was blowing the fire towards town.
Brian DeVault, from what I understand, he'd come up and got a bunch of people. One of the rally points was the high school. And so it was starting to be overrun by fire as well, and they couldn't get down the highway. So he and 2 other reserve deputies pushed a bunch of people out onto the track, and so they stayed overnight.
If I had to estimate, there was 20 to 30. You're in the middle of a track, rubber track, but it's pretty safe here. So our goal was we couldn't go anywhere, so we sat here all night. I mean, the road is blocked just east of Blue River a little bit and just west of our location here. By that time, there was everybody that was within the closed area, they were here. And everything else had obviously burnt down, so there was no checking to do. So between here and Blue River, 95% everything was gone.
So I'm the missing person specialist at the Sheriff's Office, and so normally on a normal day, I am just tracking all the missing persons and runaways out of our agency. And so when this fire started and we started realizing there were going to be people unaccounted for, it was natural for it to be my responsibility. And so I started compiling this list. At one point, our list was over 200 people, which was incredibly daunting and heartbreaking. So myself and Anne, who's a volunteer with Search and Rescue with our agency, worked on this list, and we just started making phone calls, cold calls to people that may very well have no idea what we were talking about. We'd start the phone call with, "Hi, this is Becky at the Lane County Sheriff's Office. We recently had a fire go through our area. So-and-so is unaccounted for, and we're trying to reach anyone that may have been in contact with them." As that list got smaller and smaller every day, we all couldn't believe it because we really thought this was going to be this catastrophic event as far as loss of life. And so as that came down, it was very exciting. Those were the really good times.
To lose only one life in this entire valley it's shocking to me, because there's so many roads that they're only one way in, one way out. Pond Road across the street, that you go back there's 2 or 3 houses. I was worried about them because they can't get out. There's only one road up there. Eck Pierce up the road. There's just one way out of this, and if they don't get out at the right time, they're not going to make it out. So it's amazing that we didn't have hundreds.
You know, 2020 has offered us lots of challenges, and this event obviously significantly impacted a huge chunk of Lane County and the community. Caused tremendous destruction, over 170,000 acres burned, 431 homes destroyed, 24 businesses destroyed, and many other structures as well. You know, I couldn't possibly be any more proud of the way the folks at the Lane County Sheriff's Office responded, particularly the night of the Holiday Farm fire, but then for the ongoing weeks and even presently. And not only the folks at our office, but just tremendous participation with partners, law enforcement, transportation partners, and certainly lots of partners from the fire service. And the effort was significant, but the atmosphere of cooperation and collaboration was fantastic. To see the devastation up and down the highway, to recognize the number of miles that fire traveled, and to, at this point in time, have only one death, while any death is for sure tragic, to have it limited to the one is fantastic, and something that I think we're going to celebrate every time we talk about this event.